On the topic of NPCs, this isn't a new topic. This is an old topic, but I've never discussed it here, so I figured I might as well. NPC. In my experience, it's like 99% are NPC, at least. Now, I haven't been everywhere, so I'm not gonna assume that that's how it is everywhere. It could just be in the places that I've been, but 99%, and that might be an underestimation. I can't even say that it seems less. I can't even say that it seems like there are more or less NPCs. I think it has been exactly the same my whole life. Here. Looking back on high school, same exact thing. I would say they were virtually all. And if you're not NPC, then you've been you've been having a good old time. What do NPCs do? How do they act? They don't ever surprise you. Ever. They don't surprise you with speech. They don't surprise you with style of speech. They don't surprise you with expressions. There's no nuance to their behavior. It's predictable. You could say scripted, but programmed is probably a better word for it. Because scripted implies that there's some essence they're acting out a play. But that would be a non-NPC pretending they were an NPC, which is not the same thing. The people who aren't NPC are, to others who aren't, it's the easiest thing to spot anywhere. You could see one facial expression and you'd say, oh, there's someone else here. Whoa, that's weird. And I don't know what it's about. I can't tell you exactly why the situation is what it is. I just see with my own eyeballs and I hear conversations. And for the most part, I don't hear conversations. Actually, I have thousands of people coming through this car, and I can tell you that it's the strangest thing ever. Literally, nobody talks about anything. There's no critical conversation, there's no interesting debating, there's no theorizing about anything. I mean, I'll have couples come in here and they will just sit. They won't even talk to each other. So, I mean, at least as far as my meditation is concerned, it's kind of a help because everything is white noise. If somebody were to hop in here and be like, hey man, how come you're not talking? You know, I'd be like, whoa. What are you doing here? It's surprising, the ratio. I mean, it's not surprising. It's just kind of sad, but And the main thing about NPCs is they don't comprehend what we're talking about ever. It's exactly the same thing as going up to a brick wall and having a conversation and moseying along afterward. And you can talk to that brick wall as long as you want. You're totally free to talk to the wall as long as you want to. You can even put a speaker in the wall and have it respond to you. You could put an iPhone up there and stick it in a hole and cover it up with brick-like paper and then have Siri respond to you. That would be essentially what is happening when you're talking to an NPC. It's the same thing. Somebody was describing it as walking, talking iPhones, flesh and blood iPhones. Because when you talk to the bots, you talk to the chat bots, you talk to an NPC, just it's not in human form. I've been going a little crazy the last few days because I've been away for too long. Away from real people for too long, and it's making me a bit batty. And the constant pressure of this money nonsense just drains my soul energy. And the lack of, ideally, people would see this place for what it is, the players, and they would say, this is a playground, we should be playing. We should be creating. But when you're surrounded by 99% NPC who don't like any of that, who don't understand any of that, then it's just exceedingly difficult. Like in that video where I was talking about where are all the people, the NPCs want everyone driving within the lanes. They want everyone coloring inside of the lines. And they want you to get on a routine and do the exact same thing every single day. And of course we can't do that. And since we're outnumbered, then we feel like we're weird. And that's how it's been. That's how it is for everybody who's here. The scripts are so boring, it's not even worth trying to debunk or debate, or the given programming is just so mindless. It's not even worth putting effort into it. It just isn't. It's blatant. And I think we've been here for so long that, you start to think, how do I please these people? And you start getting on some sort of a routine to, make appearances. And also there's the thing of, if you're creating something beautiful or something unique and there isn't somebody there to appreciate it, then it's a little bit of a waste, unless you're kind of narcissistic and you love looking at your own face. I get bored of that. And I don't even like using labels. Like, I don't, and somebody mentioned on Matt's video about NPCs that it's kind of a dangerous title to put on people, because then you're going to start judging everybody, and the ones who are sort of fence sitting the NPC line will maybe on a bad day receive your judgment, and then that's where they will stay until they do something else. So I understand that, but at the same time, even without using a label, it's just obvious. Like I said, it's blatantly obvious that the majority of the people running around are just sort of mindless, you know? I haven't stumbled across, in happenstance, an interesting conversation. I can't even remember the last time it's happened. Like I said, 1 out of 100 people who come in here are non-NPC. 1 out of 100. It's not exaggerating. I'm not saying that because I'm upset. That's just a very simple, that's what my mind tells me. And it's not even that I don't engage. I engage in conversation, and you know, it's, hi, how are you? And it's not just that I just say, hello, how are you? Many times I'll say, you know, are you doing anything exciting today? Or what are your plans? And it's always, I'm going to lunch with friends. It's always something like that. I do have interesting people in here sometimes. It's just not very often. Every time I say it's quiet in the realm, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. It's quiet because that 1% isn't around me. So it's deathly quiet. It's not quiet when the 1% is around me, but that doesn't happen very often. And even that small percentage kind of stays quiet anyway, because they're so used to being around the NPCs too that they start taking on those character traits. And then it starts becoming awkward to kind of be yourself because you're not used to that happening. So the tide starts turning in favor of the programs and the rituals, the routines, all that. At a certain point, just like Matt's latest video, right? You know, he's saying your whole reality is fake and it's all orchestrated and puppet masters are doing everything. So if a logical person, a sane person, can make such an assertion, that kind of draws the line in the sand. So it's not like you're debating one small aspect of the realm and saying, you know, this part's a little bit messed up, this part's a little off, let's go and kind of look into that and see what we can do about it. That would be different. That's not the case. the case is that the whole thing is 100% upside down, and you know, if you're NPC, then you're part of it, so you're not sitting there trying to worry about whether it's correct or not. But it just makes it kind of like a joke. This is exactly what Og said. He's like, this is just a joke. It's pretend. And it doesn't mean that everything is pretend. It means that the construct itself is just smoke and mirrors, like down to the last aspect. All of it's just obvious. That's why I don't come on here and make assertions and ask people to agree or disagree, because it's all obvious. It's obvious to the extent that it's not even interesting. It's just not interesting to discuss. That's why I come at it from a personal perspective, to help people in dealing with how it is, because there just isn't a debate as to how it is. For those of us who know, it's been beyond that almost the entire time, if not the entire time. So it's more a matter of how do we deal with this, and what should we be doing? Is there anything to do? And that's the perspective that I come from. There's just no debate. Not only that, but for the most part, there's nobody that gives any opposition. It's just, you know, the so-called mainstream doesn't acknowledge any of it in the first place at all, and NPCs aren't there to acknowledge it because, you know. So the upside downness is complete. It's not a situation that can be fixed. It's not a situation that can be remedied somehow. It's simply something that must be experienced, and you can explore somewhat when you're not spending all of your time, you know, money, Horus, when you're not spending all your time doing that. Even a very basic question such as, what is this place that we live in? What is it exactly? outside of what we've been told. Even that sort of very basic question I experienced such drastic opposition to even that very notion, or else complete crickets. Anytime I talked to anybody about it, that I just stopped trying to with like flesh and blood people around me, because it wasn't doing anything aside from causing some angst. And I'm probably ranting here because I've been in a bad mood the last day. I tried doing an illegal U-turn on Market Street and neglected to notice that there was a curb there. So I ran up on the curb and then backed up really quick and almost backed up into the person that was behind me. And the next morning the tire was flat, and it was raining, of course. So I had to spend a lot of time getting that fixed, and made the money situation even worse, and so that just flustered me and got me into a complaining mode, which I'm kind of coming out of now, but also not still complaining mode. It's very skewed. NPC. Yeah, Dolores Cannon, I think, was the first person that I heard mention that concept. She called them backfill people. You have to be a little bit careful with the concept of NPC, because when you're having a bad day, you might start feeling really solipsistic and declare that they are all NPCs. I mean, that's just a philosophical standpoint anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. But you have to also take into consideration that if the majority of them are NPCs, or simply game characters, auto-populated ARG type entities, even the control structure, you can't really get mad at them, because there isn't somebody to get mad at. You get mad at the programmers maybe, but we don't know where they are or who they are. They stay nicely hidden. So anyway, I'm going to go back to transporting NPCs, and let me know what you think about that particular idea.